I hope you're having a good day. I hope your Passover was great. So the day after Passover, the kids were so excited to wake up, to have cereal and cake and all these special delicacies. We were also excited, especially for us adults and the men. Today was the first day we got up in the morning and we wrapped our tefillin after 8 days of not wrapping tefillin, and that bond where we connect ourselves to God with love and faith and get to pray was very special. And this is the first Shabbos right after Pesach, right into Shabbos. It's a special Shabbos. We bake challah for the first time. Some people have a custom where they make a challah like a key, which is an omen for prosperity. In fact, Grudy's having a challah baking on Facebook right here on the Chabad page at 1 o'clock. I recommend you join if you want, men, women, whoever wants, and learn the unique tricks of Grudy's challah baking. But a little thought on the parsha. So, usually in America we say the buck stops here. You can have one president, not two. One of the famous quotes you always say is, too many chefs spoil the pot. Two kings can't wear one crown. One person is in charge, not two, right? Yet, when it comes to the Jewish people, and in our first leaders, there were two, not one. When God sends Moses to take the Jewish people out of Egypt, he sends Moses and Aaron, go to Pharaoh together. Moses was the leader, and Aaron was the high priest. And that's what we read in this week's Torah portion. And the question is, of course, why? Why couldn't we have one leader like we had in many later generations? King David was one leader. Why did we have Moses and Aaron and that duality? And the answer is that when the Jewish people were becoming a nation, we realized, and God was telling us, that we needed the two components, the duality of Moses and Aaron, and what they each bring to the table in order to be able to be the nation we are, and something that would be indispensable for us throughout the generations, as I'll tell you in a few minutes. And it all comes to a tipping point in this week's Torah portion with two occurrences that happened between Moses and Aaron. You can imagine, it was supposed to be the happiest day in the Jewish calendar. In fact, the rabbis say that the day that the Jews inaugurated the temple, 7 days, Moses served in the temple. And on the 8th day was supposed to be the pinnacle, the inauguration. On the first day of Nisan, when Aaron, the high priest, would do the service in the holy temple. And the Talmud tells us that it was as happy to God as the day of the creation of the world. And then tragedy strikes. Aaron had 4 children, 4 sons. And 2 of them, it says, brought a strange fire in front of God. And suddenly a fire came up from God and consumed them, and they passed away. Imagine, on that happiest day that was supposed to be the inauguration of the tabernacle, Aaron loses 2 of his children. And what happens? The rabbis say that Moses, the greatest leader, the greatest prophet ever to live, turns to Aaron and says, this is what it says in the Torah, that God said, with my close ones I will become holy. And Rashi explains that Moses was telling Aaron that your sons didn't die because of their sins, because they weren't holy, but they died because they were too holy. Their souls were so powerful and so holy, it couldn't last in a world that's physical, that's material. Beautiful words said by Moses. Yet what's Aaron's answer? Vayidom Aaron. Aaron remained silent. He didn't agree. He didn't disagree. He just couldn't talk. He was beyond words at the loss of his 2 sons. And then something else occurs. That day, at the inauguration of the temple, Aaron brought, together with the priests, many sacrifices, which were supposed to be eaten by Aaron and his brothers. One of them was the sin offering. But instead of eating it, Aaron took it and burnt it on the altar. Why? Because he didn't want to eat the meat at a time when there was mourning. And when Moses found out, Moses was upset. He says, I don't understand. He turns to Aaron and he says, what's going on here? This is the inauguration, the greatest day of celebration as a leader, as a community. Why did you burn it? And Aaron looks at Moses and he says, I just lost my 2 sons. This is what happened. Would God want me to eat it and to celebrate in such a time of deep sorrow, of deep pain. And this time it says that Moses agreed and listened to Aaron. What's going on here? So if you look in Psalms, it says, there's a quote in Psalms that says, Emes v'chesed nifgashu, tzedek v'shalom nashaku. Truth and kindness met, justice and peace kissed. What does this mean? The rabbis tell us that as leaders, Moses represented truth and Aaron represented kindness. What's the difference between truth and kindness? Truth is absolute. Truth is uncompromising. Kindness is compromising. Truth is about saying what is. Kindness is about seeing who the recipient is and adjusting it to them. It's about being sensitive to the person you're speaking to. For example, I'm sitting here with you on Facebook. Do you want me to tell you the truth about who you are and what I think about you? Or you want me to be kind and gentle and think about you and what you're about to hear? Aaron represents kindness. Moses represents uncompromising truth. And this articulates itself in these two arguments. When it came to the first thing, Moses was telling Aaron from a great spiritual level. He says, listen, Aaron, you lost your two sons, but you got to see the greatness of God. You got to see the holiness of the words and the things that Hashem makes happen in this world. It might be painful for you personally, but God, as the ultimate truth, is what is supposed to happen, happens. And that's what we have to understand. And what does the Aaron do? Vayidom Aaron. The rabbis say that the simple word for being quiet means vayishtok. Why does he use the word vayidom? And the rabbis explain because it was a deep silence, like the inanimate object. When someone has so much pain and so much grief and so much hurt, the deeper the pain and the grief, the less we're able to talk about it. Aaron was in such pain and so much hurt, they couldn't even respond to Moses. Vayidom Aaron. He couldn't get out the grief. And then later, when Moses turns to Aaron and says, why didn't you eat the sacrifice? And Aaron says to Moses, I don't understand. Yes, God is the ultimate truth. And Moses says, look, it's a celebration of a community. There's 3 million Jews. Life has to go on. We have to inaugurate the temple. We can't let our personal sorrow and pain overtake the celebration and the momentous occasion. And Aaron says to Moses, yes, religion and God is so important. But could religion squash our human pain, our human senses of hurt? Would God want that my faith in Him should squash my feelings of pain and sorrow at the realization of what happened? And Moses listens to Aaron. And he says, Aaron, you are right. Says the rabbis that this is the combination of Aaron and Moses that we find in this week's Torah portion that has been the Jewish people's guide throughout thousands of years of generations, through trials and tribulations. We've had truth and kindness have kissed in the sense that throughout the generation as Jews, we've never lost the empathy when we found struggle and pain and challenge and death. We've cried, we've begged. We never lost our empathy. Even till today, after millions of Jews have been killed by pogroms, by Cossacks, by the Holocaust, by terrorists. Look how Israel and the Jewish people care about every human being. Look how they speak about every person, how much they'll give up for one life. We've never lost our empathy. We've never lost our pain. We've never lost our kindness. But at the same point, we've also never lost our Moses. We've never lost our understanding that even when we don't understand something, even in the midst of our human pain and sorrow, there's faith, there's the depth of understanding of truth, that ultimately God is the truth. And even when we don't understand it, there's something greater than us that's running these things. And that's why God wanted in the first generation, we needed 2 leaders. We needed Moses and Aaron. We needed kindness and truth. We needed peace and justice. Because those 2 components together is what has made the Jewish people withstand all the trials and tribulations and still grow. It's not always about telling God how great our problems are, but it's our telling our problems how great God is. I think about this a lot because these 2 components of Moses and Aaron, the 2 greatest leaders, the balance of empathy and human pain, yet with deep faith and understanding that there's something above us, is what we need more than ever in the time we're living now. There's so much tragedy. There's so much pain. Just yesterday, a couple of days ago before the holiday, I got another call from a dear member in our community whose mother passed away from COVID here in a nursing home in Boston. Yes, she was older, but she was healthy. And now she's gone. And now we have to do a funeral in social distancing where no one could come, and we can't even be there by it when they lower the casket, only come afterwards. And I keep on thinking about the family, and I remember the chesed, the empathy, the kindness that we need. And then at the same point, we have the deep faith that needs to give us the conviction to continue that empathy, that in the face of horror and tragedy and questions, we never waver in our deep faith in the Almighty. It's the first Shabbos after Pesach. It's a new beginning. It's the Shabbos when we bless the new month of Iyar. Iyar is the second month in the Hebrew calendar. Iyar is the acronym for two things. One is Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and Rachel, which are the three patriarchs, and the matriarch Rachel, which is considered the mother of the Jewish people. And it's also the acronym for Ani Hashem Reifecha. I am God, your healer. When we have deep faith in the patriarchs and matriarchs, in the Judaism that God gave us, we get healing. When we have kindness and truth meet, justice meets chesed v'emes nifkashu, when kindness and justice meet, then we're able to find healing and find blessing. We have a tradition in our community that on the Shabbos when we bless the new month, we say the entire Psalms from King David. And the previous Rebbe speaks about how holy it is and how much blessings it brings. So I don't know if you'll be able to say the whole Psalms tomorrow, but I encourage you tomorrow morning, open up the Psalms from King David and pray to the Lord, pray to the Almighty to make an end, to let kindness overcome all the tragedy and let our faith stay strong. Shabbat Shalom. May it be a Shabbos and a month and a year of healing, of love, of happiness and joy for everyone.